Thomas and Manuela from CoSpaces, I'm so thankful to connect with you guys. I have been a big fan of CoSpaces and the power that it has in the classroom and in education, just in general. To start out, can you just share a little bit about yourselves and what your role is there at CoSpaces?
Okay, so ladies first. My name is Manuela. I'm the head of marketing here, so that means that basically my job is to do everything around communication for CoSpaces. So that starts with the website, then goes to tutorials and social media, and basically everything that needs to be done to kind of get the word out, and also help people use CoSpaces more easily.
Hmm, very cool.
Yeah, and that's actually a good connection to what I'm doing. So I'm Thomas, I'm the head of user experience, which means I'm responsible together with my team for creating concepts, doing usability tests, come up with new user interface designs and interactions to make CoSpaces even easier and more comfortable to use,
Hmm.
plus introduce new features and functionalities where we think that could be a nice add-on and makes the whole experience even better. For example, like when we introduced 360 images as background.
Right.
That's what I'm doing.
Which I'm very excited about, by the way. The 360 images, I think that's going to revolutionize your product. I think that's a very exciting feature. Um, so why was CoSpaces created? And I know that I use it in education, but was the intention an educational product?
Um, that's a good question. So a little bit about why it was created or why this technology actually was created. So we started off 4.5 to 5 years ago, and we actually created a similar product to CoSpaces in terms of the technology, but it was used more in therapy and coaching and psychology.
Hmm.
But it also had this 3D stage, and it was used to visualize different situations or different issues that someone had, because we believe that putting it out in a visual way really helps, and very often there are no words to actually explain what's really going on.
Right.
But at the same time, we saw that this tool in general, or this way of visualizing different things, it's so useful in so many other ways, not only psychology and all of that. So there were always a couple of ideas that we could be using this kind of platform for different use cases or different markets, let's say it like that.
Hmm.
And then our founder's daughter, actually, she started playing around with that product,
Hmm.
and she started creating really cool looking things. And then we thought, okay, actually, let's look into that. So if there are children out there who actually like using this and like being creative with it, this can really be something.
Right.
So we kind of changed that old product and made the look and feel a bit more fresh and modern, and kind of so that you get this creative feel from it.
Yeah.
And we just put it out there. So we had some ideas of where it could be useful, and education was definitely one hypothesis that we had, but we weren't set on it yet. So we just said, okay, let's put it out there and see. Most definitely children will like it, but let's see where they actually will be using it. Is it at home? Is it with their friends? Or is it maybe in school with their teacher? And then all of a sudden, actually, we got all these signups from schools, and this is when we learned, okay, definitely CoSpaces is a product that can be used in education also. And from there, we just started speaking to our users and understanding what is it that they like, and all of these new features that we've been adding to CoSpaces was really certain ideas that we had, but also a lot of ideas that we got from our users along the way.
Very.
And yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, what I wanted to say is when sometimes it happens, or it's a good sign that when others are misusing your product. So when kids and teenagers start to use a coaching tool for storytelling,
I know that personally I've been kind of a cheerleader for you guys, and the people that I come in contact with in the educational world, once they hear about CoSpaces and what you can do and the potential there, it is something that they want to hear more about. Uh, and I did have a question. One of the reasons that I think that people get so excited about it is the kind of the empathy and the that comes with virtual reality. And was that kind of uh, one of the driving forces when you were originally starting out with kind of more of the psychological use for that?
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, it's a nice keyword that you used, empathy. So, actually, in this old product, well, I call it old product. It's actually not. It's a side product that we have. It's still on the market and it's being actively used by coaches and therapists. But we had this function that allowed you to. So, imagine a stage and there, let's say, two figures on there, and it had this function that allowed you to switch the view, so to go into another figure and then see the
Oh,
space
wow.
from that person's perspective, which
Wow.
really helps a lot. And in terms of also, practicing empathy and all of that.
Yeah.
So
Fantastic.
this was always a big topic for that product. But in terms of being creative or let's say understanding different topics, I think that this also plays a major role. So even when students are creating something or when they're even showing it to others, this dynamic of actually first of all visualizing whatever thoughts you have in your head, putting it out, and then usually showing it to others and explaining about it and getting someone else's feedback or knowing that someone else is looking at it. This is all these social topics anyway, where empathy always plays a major role.
Yeah, very cool. What a powerful thing. And there aren't many products out there that allow you to create in virtual reality, and that's one of the things that really makes you guys stand out, and makes it so exciting for education, because really you're trying to get kids who are just growing up in a consumer world where they're constantly consuming to become creators, and that's such an important shift, and something that's important for the real world. So I also had a question about some overviews, and like an overview of CoSpaces in terms of the key features. Can you give us an overview of what are some of the key things that CoSpaces does? If it's someone who's tuning in for the first time, finding out about CoSpaces, what are some of the key features, and what are some of your favorites? Curious.
Okay,
Sorry to interrupt. Should we share our screen and show it, or while we are talking?
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to see that if you guys can do that.
Yeah, we could do that. Wait a second. Quickly. Yeah, I'm logged in. Yeah, okay, let's go. Share screen. Entire screen.
perfect.
You see CoSpaces now?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's go in. So I'll start with just an overview of the main features. So basically, okay, this is CoSpaces. When you come in, it's an empty stage, and this is kind of your creative canvas. So I would say the first main feature is that you can decide what 3D environment you want to be in. So for example, this underwater world here, and then there's a library of different objects that you can use and just easily drag and drop them in there, and make them obviously fly bigger or smaller and just sort of individualize them. So I think this is like, if you're starting off, this is the main feature that you can actually already use to create a nice story around it. And then I would say the next step would be to start animating it. So maybe you can also help.
So if you want, there are two ways how you can do it. There's this scripting with JavaScript, TypeScript, or what is pretty popular, like you already mentioned, it's Blockly.
Right.
So, for example, I can give this lady a name, so like lady yeah, and then for example, I have this lady here, and then I could apply a transition. So I said, move, for example, or I could also turn her or scale her, for example. But let's stick with let's stick to move actually, and then I can say something like move lady 1 meter forward in, I don't know, 5 seconds, and after that to backwards 1 meter in, I don't know, 3 seconds. Yeah. Okay. And then we can see actually what happens. So here's the scene, here's your camera actually, and if I press play, then you see that she's going to come closer to the camera, and then after this was executed, she goes back in 3 seconds. Yeah. Cool. So this was this is one way how you could make dynamic, more interactive content. So you can also have loops or if-then conditions. You can also have it make them act on different kinds of events. For example, like on activate of lady. You can also get rid of this stuff and say, for example, let's scale the lady by 2 in 1 second. Yeah, this will be fun. See?
Yeah.
So this is like very simple point and click stuff, or you can this is also just the last thing. So you can scale her. Actually, I will turn far away. That's that. After this thing is done. Okay.
That's great.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay. Click. She grows, and I'm huge.
I love it.
And this is like very first introduction into programming for kids with code.
Exciting. Yeah, and you mentioned the JavaScript as well. Is there that transition? Is that something, if students are are really excited about programming? Is that an easy transition? I mean, or if they're using JavaScript outside of your platform, it's an easy crossover?
So the feedback that we've gotten is that yes, it's pretty easy. I mean, we have teachers who are using Lockly with CoSpaces to kind of teach the basics, and then are planning to move on to JavaScript. So it's kind of like you can actually grow with CoSpaces, and this is one thing that I wanted to add. So like I mentioned, there are a couple of main features. For example, okay, you have all of these 3D objects and the 3D environment that you can already use to create your little story. Then you can obviously grow and make it more exciting by adding interaction to it or some movement. And then the next step would be to add some gameplay into that as well, so you can be creating not only your stories, but actual games or anything like that. There's so much potential to that and to growing with the tool. So
right.
I wouldn't say it's only about the features that we add, but also about how you use these features and how you can grow by using these features, which is great anyway in education, because it's all about kind of moving forward and growing and learning with that.
Right.
And we believe that CoSpaces is a great tool for that.
Yeah, it's a great thing. Well, another thing I want to bring up is you had mentioned, Thomas, the 360s and the bringing in your own virtual environments. Tell us a little bit more about that, if you can, and any other features that you could give us a preview to. I don't know how much you can disclose, but I would love to hear kind of what's coming up. What are the next things for CoSpaces?
Yep. Wait a second. I'm trying to find the 360 in the gallery.
I was just mentioning this feature because it was mentioned in a Voxer chat with with a few other educators that, hey, there might be 360s coming for CoSpaces, and I was talking to some people at a conference about it.
Thomas looks for a nice demo space. I can tell a little bit about that. So actually, it already works. So we have the 360 image upload since last Sunday.
What?
And,
oh, exciting! Okay, very exciting.
Sorry to
oh.
bring it up. There's actually, I'm about to send out the newsletter actually. Just this interview came in between. So.
Oh man.
Okay. For you.
Well, I am ecstatic. You have no idea how excited I am to share about what you guys are doing, because that was the feature that I was just very excited about.
I mean, what I could show you. Oh, you want to?
I can show it. Sorry, we're just.
No problem. No problem. I was talking to a friend about ThingLink, and ThingLink, you know, you can upload a 360 and tag parts of that and bring in content. And they were saying, hey, is there any free versions out there where you can you can upload and create? I said, well, have you heard of CoSpaces? And they hadn't. And then I explained it to them, and they said, that's even better. They were so excited that you could actually create a 3D world within a 360. And
it's funny actually, because you upload the 360 image of the real world, and then put it in. So this is your virtual reality, but but then you can also augment it. So you're adding the 3D objects from CoSpaces into that. So it's like it's very meta. You put in a real world image, then you add in virtual objects, but you're in this virtual world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if there's a good word for it, but we have it now finally. So
yes, finally we have it. So yeah. So for example, you go to environments. In environments, you have this upload 360 picture feature. Yeah. So if you have some 360s on your hard drive, you can simply upload it from there. And for example, we took what you see here. We just took a 360 photo from our office. So this is like the garden in front of our office.
Wow.
And we just augmented actually the whole scene with some 360 with some 3D objects. So you simply go and can put, I don't know, for example, put a snake in the environment. Oops. Snake is interesting. Okay.
It doesn't want to cooperate.
But you can imagine, you can drag and drop the stuff from the library there. So for example, there's the goat. And the nice thing about this 360 image is, because you're always standing in the middle, you don't care where you can really put stuff. It always looks right. So for example, if I move this and put it to the floor, it always looks right. So you don't have to think about like perspectives and stuff.
Wow.
And what we also did is we have animated objects in our marketplace. So for example, this pig can run different kinds of animations. So it can just do nothing, or sleeping, or rolling. In this term, it's rolling. And then if you press play, or if you share the link, you see like these animations are looped. And for example, there's this cow eating grass.
Wow.
This goat is just looking around, however. and we also added some blocky animation here. So if I click the rocket, it just goes straight to the moon.
With the whale.
The whale hanging in the air.
Yeah.
Why not?
Of course.
Yeah, we are in a virtual world. Everything is possible. So, or this penguin there, you see.
Oh yeah, I love it. Oh wow, what perspective.
Very hard to fly, but he cannot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
okay.
love that.
And the crab dancing and pointing to everyone in the club. So I don't know. It was just a crazy space to show like a tech demo to show what could be possible. And I think we see a lot of creative teachers and kids and students out there who just pick it up and come up with even crazier, even cooler ideas than we do.
Yeah.
So this is, I think, one very interesting thing. Just a little preview. What we are also working on is this physics engine we're developing. For example, there's a nice space where, for example, here you can also generate everything with code. So the real space here is just empty, but you can see that everything here will be executed on play. So if I press play, it opens up a space with all domino stones assembled in a space, and on click, actually, the whole thing just starts to fall. Yeah. And maybe there was another interesting development. This was fun. I think this is very interesting for physics class as well, or for engineering, to generate like virtual machines. And this is definitely something you can have a look at and test this later. So this will be very interesting. And I think something else to share. Actually, of course, we are also working on different kinds of other viewers for other hardware. So right now you can experience this thing on your mobile phone with a cardboard device on iOS and Android. But we're also working on a Gear VR viewer. We're also working on Daydream viewers, also working on HTC Vive, because we also heard that there are some districts, they bought HTC Vive for the classroom. And so we want to lower the obstacle for you to publish content across platforms, because there's always a hassle to I programmed something and now I want to make it work on the Daydream, but how do I publish the Daydream? All these kind of strange things we don't want you to think about. It's just install CoSpaces app on the platform and it runs. So this is something we are also working on. And did you mention the video?
No, actually, and this is probably the most interesting one for you.
Yes.
So CoSpaces that you see today is it's still going to be there anyway, as is. But since, and you mentioned that earlier as well, it's such a great tool to be used in education also, and we have a lot of users who are teachers and students, and they have come with a couple of requests to make the use of CoSpaces easier in the classroom. So we decided actually to create a sub-product of CoSpaces, which is CoSpaces EDU. It's going to look quite similar to the CoSpaces today, but it's going to have lots of features that help teachers handle the use in the classroom. So for example, a teacher will be able to sign up his or her students directly. We won't be needing their email addresses. At the same time, you can create templates and share them with the students, or you'll be able to enter your student spaces and just to see what they're working on, to see their progress. You'll be able to send them assignments. The marketplace objects, which are currently only available via the CoSpaces coins, those you will have full access to that as well.
Wow.
And what else? So I think that's it. And obviously, privacy is a big issue as well.
Right.
So this is something that we're looking into for CoSpaces EDU, where we understand that privacy topics are dealt with a little bit differently in schools as opposed to the individual use case. So that's also a very important thing for CoSpaces EDU. And we're going to launch this product in the summer of this year.
Exciting, exciting. Well, I have to tell you, everyone that I know who knows of CoSpaces is going to be thrilled. So, can't wait to share out kind of some of the exciting developments that you guys are doing, and I am just floored the fact that you can already upload 360s, and I didn't know about it. It just happened last week. So, I know that there are a number of educators who are going to be very excited about that, about hearing that as well. And I'm excited for that newsletter.
Very see what they come up with also. So as always, like we love to see what our users create and love it when they share it with us or on Twitter or anything like that. So whatever kind of keeps us connected to the real world and how CoSpaces is being used in the real world is always cool for us.
Yeah, very cool. Well, thank you guys for what you're doing. A final question here. How do you see CoSpaces changing the way that changing the educational landscape, and even outside of CoSpaces, just virtual reality in general? Because you guys are in that industry. How do you see VR influencing the way that we educate our kids? Yeah.
Well, this is a really interesting topic actually, and like I think this topic could fill the whole interview anyway. So I'll see if I can shorten it a little bit. But so your first question was about virtual reality. I think because we're all at a similar age, I think we all agree that the way we went to school wasn't always perfect. The way we learned things wasn't how it was maybe made for us. So for example, I really had difficulties understanding chemistry for some reason, and the way it was taught to me was always the same thing. And I can tell you now that I didn't fail, but I have no idea about it anymore. And this is because I read it in a book, and it was sort of like pushed into me. I didn't really experience it or anything like that. And I think this is the obvious reason why virtual reality is so interesting for education, because it's not only about learning it, but it's about experiencing it, and it just stays in your head in a completely different way, because it actually forms a memory of having experienced something as opposed to having read about something somewhere. So I think this is, in general, this is the nice thing about virtual reality and how it can really enhance learning. And talking about CoSpaces, so CoSpaces is not only about virtual reality, and actually a lot of teachers would probably agree to this, that VR or experiencing it in VR it's like one plus, but actually the whole creation part of it is really where it becomes interesting. So even if you're only creating it on the desktop or something, there are a lot of benefits to that as well. And this was our idea actually when we approached this whole making your own VR story, because we thought that one thing is consuming it and downloading apps and having VR roller coasters or even educational content, and like being able to travel to the North Pole, all of these things which are awesome. But at the same time, there's this new technology that we know it's somehow going to influence the future, and especially the future of students. But if they're only consuming it, then they only learn about one side of it, similar to computers. So now it's no question that students learn how to use a computer, because definitely they're going to need to use it later on in their future careers and all of that. And this was our thinking behind making your own VR. So we have VR as this technology, but at the same time, if you're only consuming it, then you're only getting one side of it. Whereas if you're actually creating it yourself, this opens up a whole new world of understanding that as well. And now mix that in together with educational subjects, and then you get this whole new world and side of learning different things. So I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that we're on the precipice of exciting times for how VR is going to shape the future, and excited to see that.
I would like to add something. Actually, wait a second, I will share my screen again. For example, I think one major thing, by the way, there's on our Twitter channel, CoSpaces, you can see moments, and it's public for everyone. So we just collected every like every tweet which has like images or videos from teachers filming their students using CoSpaces. And it's awesome. I think we can scroll forever actually. But one thing when it really comes to what makes it so interesting for education, it's actually this video I think was pretty nice. So it is. This was this was a kid actually when the teacher said usually he's not very like so much interested for example, but what we always hear from a lot of teachers, it's all about so
that is so cool.
It actually always comes down to engagement actually. So students are very easily to engage if you tell them today we will do this lesson by creating some stuff in 3D and exploring this stuff in virtual reality, and it's a whole new thing. And we also experienced, for example, teaching or learning vocabulary. There was also a teacher who said, okay, I will try CoSpaces today for learning vocabularies. Just okay, usually we write it on cards and then we just learn it, but now we write it on virtual cards and put some images in the 3D space, and afterwards everyone explores the space from the other. It's a completely different engagement level in the students. They never were so enthusiastic about learning vocabularies, and I think that's one of the main things actually.
Oh, exciting! Yeah. Well, before we sign off, is there any final thoughts or final comments that you guys would like to make to the educational community?
There are a lot of comments really. So like the final one, that's always the difficult choice here. But actually, well, if I may, I think so. As I was saying before, like VR and creating your own VR plus mixing all of that in with actual learning material. This is such an interesting and exciting topic, and I think with that we could really manage to change the educational system for the better. And I think this is only the beginning. So our request would be for all of those teachers who kind of believe that this change is good and who want to be a part of it to use CoSpaces maybe, or let us know how we can make it better and share whatever projects they have with us and also with other teachers, just to make the use of CoSpaces fun and easy for everyone. And that's it for now.
That's great. That's great. Well, Manuela and Thomas, I really appreciate your time and very excited to kind of use some of these features that are now live and to share this out, because I know how powerful it's going to be for my own classroom, and I'm really excited to see how we use it and also how the educational community really gets creative with what you have provided. So thank you for that platform. Thank you for your time, and wish the best as you guys continue to move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys.